can you point to one actual concrete change that Priti Patel has made in more than 2 years as Home Secretary, which has made any difference to the number of people coming across?
Well, we have seen a large number of prosecutions, both in here and in France, with shared intelligence. And France has itself stopped a large number, as has been said earlier on this program.
No, but in terms of what Priti Patel's done, she's floated lots of ideas. She's talked a lot of talk. What has she actually done which has had an impact on reducing the numbers coming across, apart from both her and the Prime Minister apparently just winding up French politicians?
Well, I think what we're seeing with the French discussions is that they're taking place in France against a backdrop of the French presidency. So we are seeing, or have seen to date, rhetoric in France around that French politics, and that's been playing out, and that has not been helpful to discussions around tackling this issue, which affects France and the UK, and which is a long-standing border issue between France and the UK, which we've tackled very successfully in the past together, dealing with Sank, dealing with the Calais jungle. And so now we're at this pivotal point where we have this dreadful tragedy, and it has brought President Macron down to Calais, and I hope it has now started the dialogue that will see some really firm action about this. No one wants this kind of loss of life. No one wants this type of activity in France or the UK. It makes Calais a migrant magnet. It creates problems in northern France, and it's a criminal activity that needs to be brought to an end. So I do think that a dialogue is there. I do think there have been the agreements. Clearly, as the Dover MP, 25,000, approaching 26,000 people coming into the country is not what I want to see here in Dover. And I hope that now we'll see action to bring it to an end.
Okay, I'm going to try one more time, Natalie Elphicke. Can you point me to one concrete thing that Priti Patel has done in the last 2 and a bit years that's had any impact on the number of people coming across the channel? We've had lots of ideas floated in the papers, on and off the record. She says she's doing everything in her power. One thing that she's done which has had any impact on these numbers?
Well, I think there are a number of things which she has done, and those
give me an example.
No, so the root and branch immigration reforms that need primary legislation, we couldn't do those until we left the EU. As soon as we left the EU, those have been put in train. They're going through Parliament, and actually they'd go through Parliament quicker if Labour didn't keep opposing every attempt to tighten up our border.
Oh, come on! You've got a majority. You've got an 80-seat majority. It is not Labour. It is not the Labour Party's fault that you have not passed the legislation yet, is it?
Well, Matt, you're asking me, why faster action is being taken. I'm saying that actually, Labour are not at one mind at tackling this issue with the same seriousness.
You've got an 80-seat majority. Natalie, I asked you for one example of something that Priti Patel has done in 2.5 years. And it's not the Labour Party's fault that you haven't passed legislation.
So the legislation is going through Parliament, and that is going through the parliamentary route. So we've got that. We've got the immigration reforms. We have the number of things that the immigration minister spoke about this morning that you covered on your programme. So there has been a lot of activity. But clearly, as I said, as the Dover MP, I don't want to see 26,000 arrivals into Dover through this illegal route, and it needs to be tackled. What I'm really clear about is that action can and should be happening on the French side. And that's where it needs to happen. And the UK has offered those resources. It's also provided money, surveillance, intelligence sharing, policing, a whole range of things to the French. And the French need to now accept those offers of assistance. And then we can bring this to an end. And I do think this tragedy is a wake-up call. And I very much hope that we're now going to see France taking that action. The safest place for people to be is on the shores of France, not in the seas of France.